All right, let's talk about one of the most clever ideas in all of computer science. It's a concept that really shows you how focusing on the absolute worst-case scenario can sometimes be totally misleading. We're going to uncover the hidden and frankly amazing efficiency of certain algorithms through something called amortized analysis.
So imagine you're a programmer. You've probably been here before. You need to store some data, right? Could be anything, user profiles, songs in a playlist, whatever. The problem is, you have no idea how much data you're actually going to get.
And that's the fundamental question, isn't it? How big is big enough? If you make your data table too small, your program is going to crash the second you get one too many items. Not good. But if you make it absolutely massive just to be safe, well, you're just wasting a ton of memory. So what on earth do you do?
Well, you've got two basic choices. On one hand, there's the simple but super risky fixed size table. On the other hand, you have what looks like the perfect solution, a dynamic, growing table. It's flexible, it can handle whatever you throw at it. I mean, this seems like a complete no-brainer, right?
This awesome solution is, you guessed it, the dynamic table. The idea behind it is just brilliant in its simplicity. You just start small, and you only get bigger when you absolutely have to. Let's break down exactly how it works.
The logic is really straightforward. You just keep adding your items, one by one. Eventually, the table gets full, and you hit what's called an overflow. Now this is where the magic happens. The algorithm creates a brand new table double the size of the old one, copies every single thing over, and then it adds your new item. Sounds elegant, sounds simple, but you know there's a catch.
And here it is. Here's the plot twist. That moment of growth, that step where you have to copy every single item from the old table to the new one, that has a hidden cost. And on the surface, this cost looks, well, it looks disastrously inefficient.
Let's trace this out to see what I mean. We start with a tiny table. It can only hold one item. We put our first piece of data in. Super easy. The cost is just one single operation. So far, so good.
But now, we try to add a second item. Whoops, the table's already full. We have an overflow, you know? Alarm bells are ringing, and that growth mechanism has to kick in right now.
So what actually happens? First, we create a new table of size 2. Then we have to copy that one old item over. And finally, we insert the new item. So the total cost for this single insertion wasn't one, it was 2 separate operations. One for the copy, one for the new insert.
And this pattern just keeps going. When we need to add the third item, boom, the table overflows again. The cost this time is 3. We have to copy 2 old items plus insert the new one. The 5th insertion, it costs 5. The 9th costs 9. Are you seeing the trend here? The cost of these specific overflow insertions just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
This is where we get a little formal and, it kind of confirms our fears. In computer science, we use this thing called big O notation to describe this, and we'd call this a cost of ON, or order n. All that really means is that the time it takes for that one single operation grows in direct proportion to n, the number of items you have. The more data you've got, the worse that single, expensive operation can be.
So the logic seems pretty simple, right? If just one insertion can cost n operations, then doing n insertions could cost something like n squared. And let me tell you, that is a huge problem. An algorithm that slows down that dramatically is often completely unusable in the real world. So it looks like our elegant, simple solution is actually a total disaster.
But it's not. That conclusion, that logical leap we just made, is completely and totally wrong. The total cost is not O of n squared. In fact, it's much, much better. So, how is that even possible? It's because we've been looking at the problem the wrong way. We've been hyper-focused on only the most expensive, most dramatic moments. What we really need is a new tool, a totally new perspective to see the true picture. And that new perspective is called amortized analysis. So, instead of obsessing over the single most expensive operation, it asks a much more practical question. What's the average cost per operation over a long, long sequence of them? It basically smooths out those expensive peaks to give us a much more realistic idea of the actual performance.
Now, I know this might sound a little abstract, but we can actually prove it with a really intuitive method. Let's just see how spreading that cost out over time completely changes everything.
Just look at this table of the actual costs for each insertion. Yeah, okay, insertions 2, 3, 5, and 9, they're expensive, I get it. But look at all the other ones. Insertions 4, 6, 7, and 8 cost only 1.
The really expensive operations are rare, and the cheap ones are super common, and amortized analysis takes huge advantage of this fact.
So here's the key idea, using something called the accounting method. I want you to imagine that for every single insertion we do, we pay a flat fee of, say, 3 credits or $3. Now, on a cheap day where the actual cost is only 1 credit, we use that 1 credit to pay for the work, and we put the extra 2 credits into a savings account for later.
Then, when one of those big, scary, expensive overflows finally happens, we don't panic. We've got it covered. We use that day's 3 credits, and we just withdraw from our savings account to pay for all that extra copying. See, the cheap operations have already prepaid for the expensive ones. The cost is spread out, or amortized.
And this, right here, brilliantly shows the final result. The math proves that the average cost for any insertion will never be more than 3. It's not O of n, it's O of 1, order 1, which just means it's a small, constant cost, a cost that doesn't grow no matter how much data you have. Our seemingly inefficient algorithm is actually, on average, blindingly fast. So, okay, that's a cool trick. But why is this so important? Why does this one clever way of analyzing things matter so much in the real world?
Because this is not just some neat, dusty, theoretical idea. This exact logic is the engine humming behind some of the most fundamental tools in programming. I'm serious. Every time you append to a list in Python, or add to an array list in Java, or a vector in C++, you are using a dynamic table that relies on this very idea to be efficient. You're using it all the time.
This concept is a true cornerstone of modern computer science. It's detailed in foundational textbooks like Introduction to Algorithms. It's what allows us to build things that are both flexible and incredibly fast. Really, the bedrock of the software we all use every single day.
And you know, that really leaves us with a final thought. This idea of not judging something by its single worst moment, but instead by its average performance over the long haul, that's a pretty powerful concept. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other worst-case scenarios in our own lives or our work are maybe blinding us to a much more efficient and much more positive reality?